Okay, you can.
I'm just bleeding.
Oh wow,
out.
okay, that is weird.
Yeah, let's go.
Anyway, hello everyone. I'm Ron Cohen, also known as the PR guy,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to do a little Harvard presentation with my two little assistants. We have a quite a tall man and someone with eyebrows. Look, they're presenting a big GPU and my logo. I forgot to wear that hat today, actually.
Damn.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
So, what makes up a computer? Simply put, we have different parts. Under the span right here is the CPU. We have RAM that goes right here, the graphics card, and what you don't see is the power supply and all the storage components like SSD or even a hard drive.
Yeah.
So let's start simple. Computer is just like a person, if you think about it. And you see my self-insert right here, very nice man, decided to come up here and say, and he wants to say hello to everyone. That's an IP address.
Damn.
I would be quaking in my boots right now if IP addresses weren't dynamic. So think of it like this. An IP address is, well, a name. So everyone has a name. And like a computer, they also go by an IPv4 address. So anyway, now that we've gotten names over with, let's start with the CPU. It is the brain of the computer. It is essentially what does all the thinking. So if you move your mouse, the mouse will send what? The mouse will send something to the CPU, and it will show on the screen. Same thing with the display. Everything that is shown on the screen is inherently done through the CPU. And if you want an example of what CPUs look like, we have Ryzen, Intel CPU. These are the main two. There are also like NVIDIA and ARM CPUs, but we're talking about desktop computers. Here's what an Intel looks like. Ryzen's pretty similar, but usually more square. And there are two kinds of CPUs for desktop specifically. One with the pins on the motherboard, and one with the pins on the CPU itself. Oh, and before I continue, any questions about CPUs? No?
Not a question about CPUs, but rather than the IP address. Would you say the IP address is like the first name and the MAC address is like the last name?
More or less, yeah. But, and back to that. IP addresses are dynamic now, so they're constantly changing. So if, for whatever reason, you're in an argument online and someone points out your IP address, start laughing at him because that means nothing. It will change probably within the next week. And now we go to the body, which is the motherboard. As you can see my crude drawing, that's where the CPU goes. That's usually where the RAM is. These are the PCIe slots, which I'll talk about in a second. And these are I'm pretty sure, the transistors, if I remember correctly. So we have different kinds of motherboards. This one, MSI, you've probably seen with gaming.
Gamer boy.
Exactly. Who doesn't like gaming? This one you probably see in a workstation computer. And same with this one. And since I can actually see it, this is where the I/O usually goes, where you plug in all your USBs, HDMI, display, all that. This is where you put your CPU. This is where you put your RAM. And if you notice, they're a bit divided. I'll talk about that in a moment, but just know that these two have to go together when installing RAM. And these are your PCIe slots. This is where you put in your graphics cards. Yep. Now we have the heart. You can't run without a heart, so.
Yeah, no.
The power. That's essentially it.
Yeah.
I'll go over the ratings in 1 second. So there are several kinds. Some can be at 750. Some are actually built into the computer, which is very specific to the computer itself. We have very beefy computer. It's 1,200 watts right there. And we have, I can see the things, I guess not, well, it kind of came right there. But very important when looking at power supplies is that 80 plus gold. You might not notice it, but it's actually probably one of the most important. You could get bronze. Oh no, is it bronze or copper? I'm blanking out right now. Copper. Okay, thank you. Copper, gold, silver, or platinum. Usually, you want to stick with gold. Platinum's obviously if you have the money to spend, but in all honesty, gold 80 is what you want to go for. And don't cheap out on power supplies; they will blow up. This is like a serious thing. Now the kidneys. We have RAM sticks. Now you might be thinking, why did I put the kidneys as RAM sticks? Well,
Yes.
if you put 4, you could supercharge your body, but I wouldn't recommend it. Take it from me. Anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
All right. So RAM is simple. It's just random access memory. We have the actual chips on the right there. There's an example with the heat spreader on it, and here are 4 slots. As mentioned earlier, with the what? What was it called? CPU, not RAM. I'm blanking on the dual channel memory is actually pretty important. So if you're going to buy a computer, you always want to buy 2 sticks of memory instead of 1, because think of it like this. Let's say I have to put cinder blocks into a truck, and I'm alone. It's got a lot of hard work, but if I had someone else, then obviously the work would be much easier. So think of that when buying the GPU, and same thing with shoes. If you ruin one shoe, you obviously replace both. That can be the same thing
Yeah.
applied. And yes.
About the RAM. So let's say I'm installing new RAM, and basically I tried putting in RAM in a computer. It could go in either side, but like, question: is it functional? Which side? Like, so that's like the front up there, right? So would I have to face that towards the GPU, the CPU to install it?
Well, there's actually one way to put in the RAM. You may not notice it. If you jam it in and it's not going in, it's probably the opposite way.
Yeah.
But good point about the number. There also are numbers, so it tells you which one. So usually what most boards do, I can't really see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that. Some actually split it just down the middle, but most motherboards, like mine, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for dual access memory, and same thing applies actually with these 2 have dual access memory, which makes it faster. These 2 have their own dual channel memory. So remember that when buying your CPUs.
But yeah,
CPUs, RAM sticks, my bad.
No worries. I'm sorry if I
So-
interrupted. But yeah, usually what I was trying to say was that they fit in both ways, but like it only functions like one way. That's what I was trying to
Oh, I tried installing like new RAM, I almost broke it because it didn't fit.
say.
So I recommend trying it just one way.
Yeah.
And now the stomach, the hard drive, the SSD. Listen, when you're full, you usually delete stuff. Take that analogy as you will. I will not be elaborating. But if you want more space, you simply add another stomach. Again, I wouldn't recommend it. Take it from me.
He likes Cyberpunk.
Here's what you probably see in a computer. This is a standard hard disk drive. Same with this one, just covered up. This is an SSD. This is also an SSD, and this is also an SSD. Very confusing. This one has this is a SATA port. This is what is it?
NVMe.
PCIe 2, PCIe.
Yeah, PCIe one.
What?
Yeah, PCIe
Oh
one.
no, and it's M.2. This is M.2. My bad.
Oh, okay.
M.2 and PCIe 1. All different, all going at separate speeds. This one's, I should probably say, this one's specifically for Intel. These ones, everything here can be used for AMD and or Intel. The steroids. Because anyone can run, but listen, you can run faster with steroids.
Damn.
Alright, but alright, in all seriousness, the GPU is specifically for graphics rendering. So if you want to play like a AAA title, you obviously want to go for a good graphics card. But sometimes, in some cases, you want to go for like rendering video or so rendering video, streaming, content creation, all that. You would actually probably get even a weaker GPU like this one. May not be the best one, but it's good at rendering. So that's what you usually use a graphics card for gaming and for rendering, and content creation and art and all that. Any questions before we move on? Now, computer parts are very expensive. As you can see, the bigger the number, the more money it costs. And see, it's exponential because at some point, it's just going to be too expensive and no one's going to be buying it. We're like right around here right now. It's just going to keep going up. Have you seen the video prices? My gosh.
Yeah, 49.
Too much.
Yeah, 49 is at what, like 2K now?
I think so, yes.
Would you recommend the NVIDIA Titan?
Titan?
Yeah.
In all honesty, if you don't know, the NVIDIA Titan's a defunct GPU, and honestly, it probably would be pretty nice now. Obviously, you won't be playing modern AAA titles like can't think right now. Like the Uncharted, which is for some reason coming on PC. But it could run a lot of games like high to medium quality with no problem. So if you manage to get your hands on that, for pretty cheap of course, then by all means go for it. I think because of their limited edition and rarity, they will probably be upcharged a little bit more than normal GPUs. So what does that mean? You can start a gutting PC operation. It's very easy. Look, see, there's my guy. He's representing the corpse. The corpse is representing a PC. And so what I'm trying to say is, you could sell these PC parts online at eBay, of course.
Black market. Wait a minute. What's under that?
There's nothing under there.
All right.
But yeah. Now, how do you buy a PC? That's a very important question that I think people never really know how to answer. Well,
What's your money?
does marker work?
Yeah,
It
that was
smells good. Take a whiff.
Oh wow, my gosh! I love the chemicals. It's great.
Exhilarating smell.
All right. So, just a quick question: what would you think the lowest amount of money is the lowest amount of money is required to get into PC gaming, or just
1200.
PC?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 100. Yeah.
What?
Expensive.
So 100, bro. 800. Oh, I'm not shy.
Woo!
With $100.
You can build a PC with $100.
Cap.
I know, high-end PC.
All right. Now, if you want to mostly like game or do content creation,
$500.
I don't know.
let's say you're a real big enthusiast.
Yeah, real big enthusiast.
Oh, it's more like that.
My pricing will make sense in a moment. Now, let's say this is your job. You do content creation for a living, or you do video editing, all that.
Christ.
This one, I'm going to put plus right next to it because there is no cap for high end. So, you're probably wondering, what the hell these numbers mean? What are these price points? Well, simply, if you want to actually just build a PC, just standard PC, you can actually pick up one of those, old workstations computers, buy a graphics card in it for probably even less than $100, and there you go, you got a working PC. Obviously, of course, you're going to need the, a monitor, mouse and keyboard if you want it to work, and obviously a headset or speakers depending on what you use, but more or less, you can start building a PC at $100. Now, if you want to, actually get into real gaming, this is where you start playing like AAA games, AAA titles, and esports titles. Same with this one, I should probably mention. You probably want like a good graphics card, your custom-built PC, and a decent monitor. Same with headphones, keyboards, and mice. Obviously, these aren't like set price points. You can go always in between, but just know that this is when you start getting a little more serious. Now, for this one, I can relate to this the most because I bought my PC at this price, and now the appreciated in value, it's probably $1,000 now, which I'm really sad. Anyway, this is when you start, actually gaming or taking your hobbies a little more seriously, like graphic design, animation, content creation, all that. This is when you start playing AAA titles at like ultra quality. Maybe probably less depending on what games you're playing. This is when you're let's just say live streaming at 1080p, 60 frames per second. If you're rendering 1080p video and you want to downscale it, or maybe just render it directly at 1080p. And now for this one, this one and beyond is where you say gaming 1%. Either these people have too much money to spend, or they actually work in, or they actually have like a full-time job, video editing, content creation, all that. Same thing can be said with coding, because obviously a better computer makes code run faster. Yada yada, whatever. And so, I don't really have too many points. Would anyone else like to ask a question before I continue? All right. So I guess the final thing is, no computer is essentially bad. The reason is because depending on what you use it for. If you get a computer and you just want to, browse the internet with, reply to emails, or occasionally just game, you don't even need a GPU. You probably get a computer for less than this. realistically, if you if you really know what you're doing. Again, it takes research, but it could work. And that's all I have to say. Hope you guys enjoyed my presentation, and that's it.
Ron!
They're wrong.
Sick, Ron, sick.